Top 5, born Hassan Ali in 1998 to Somali immigrant parents, grew up in Toronto's Lawrence Heights, a neighborhood that locals call the jungle. Isolated and neglected, this maze of crumbling multi-story townhouses and low-rise complexes that are part of Toronto's public housing stood in stark contrast to the middle-class suburbia that surrounded it. Known for poverty, drug deals, and gunfire, Jungle is home to a large community of immigrant families from the Caribbean, South America, Somalia, and other African countries. Immigrants who were all clinging to their own version of the Canadian dream. And it was here, on the basketball courts, that Hassan earned his nickname Top 5, a boast that everything he did on the court was Top 5. As a student at Vaughan Road Academy, the same high school that Drake attended, a young Top 5 would get into music from early on, but he wouldn't take it seriously until one fateful day. When Top 5 was 15 years old, he would attend Drake's first annual OVO Bounce tournament. Drake was in attendance, and at the time, the Detroit Pistons star Brandon Jennings' team took the win. And when Jennings ripped off his jersey to celebrate, Top 5 mimicked him mid-photo op, sending the crowd into a frenzy and catching Drake's attention. That spontaneous moment sparked a friendship and pivoted Top 5's path towards music. In 2014, when Top 5 was just 16 years old, he would drop the song Shirt Off Shorty, doubling down and basing his personality on the gimmick of having his shirt off. On any block, I'll have you know. This Chicago drill-inspired track racked up 5,000 views in just a few weeks. But then, months later in December, Drake would make an Instagram post of him watching Top 5's video, together with the caption, "Back in the 6, shout out to Top 5, which would catapult the track into local success in Toronto. With a viral song in his pocket and the co-sign from the biggest rapper in the world, the 16-year-old Top 5 would turn his 15 minutes of fame into a burgeoning music career. He dropped out of school in 2015, doubling down with the song Hall of Fame alongside Toronto underground rap icon Robin Banks, who belonged to the Was Gang from the north side of Jane and Finch, part of the infamous Driftwood Crips, which are also known for rappers like Pressa, his brother Boondog, and the late Houdini. Then came Shirt Off on Any Block, with a music video filmed in the heart of the jungle.
You guys have the same sounds. Like, I don't want to sound like The Weeknd, I don't want to sound like Drake. I want to sound like myself. You're never gonna make it out if you don't sound like yourself. I grew up in Toronto, but I don't like this in the winter. I like the summer when my shirt comes off.
A track that even the Toronto police were enjoying. Meanwhile, Drake would keep the cosigns coming, shouting out Top 5 in the track Grammys from his 2016 album Views. But unfortunately, just as Top 5 plotted his family's escape from the jungle,
started rapping, I didn't know it was gonna blow up. A couple more songs, I'll have a house in Brattle Path. That's my goal, have a house in Brattle Path, get my mom out the hood, and get my family out the hood.
The streets would strike back. Given the nickname of Top 5's neighborhood, the jungle, it's probably no surprise then that gangs have had a strong hold of the area for a long time. For decades, this neighborhood has been home to the so-called Jungle City Bloods gang, and more recently, particularly a set under them called the GGGs, or Go Get 'em gang. Originally called the First Comes Family, online rumors tie the set's formation to a March 2008 tragedy, an unsolved murder of an 18-year-old Ahmed Abdikarim, son of a Somali soccer star and alleged brother of a GGG member named Jason. Ahmed's killing was even caught on camera, but this murder was never prosecuted, and the lack of evidence became a flashpoint for retaliatory violence. While no convictions followed, the incident brought together the GGGs, with notorious members in their ranks like Flipper, aka Saeed, the Postman Mohiuddin 100, Moneyboy, Century, aka Samatar Mohiuddin, Ahmed's brother, Jason GGG, aka Ibrahim Abdikarim, Styles, aka Saeed Osman, a GGG affiliate who's currently on the Canada's Most Wanted list, and among them, a young Top 5. The jungle was part of a broader war dividing Toronto's boroughs. On one side, Jane, Driftwood, and Lawrence Heights, and on the other side, territories like Regent Park, Falstaff, and Rexdale. Part of this conflict was GGG's feud with the Falstaff Crips, based in the northwest Toronto's Jane-Falstaff corridor, their turf consisting particularly of 3 large high-rises, numbers 20, 30, and 40, which is why the gang is also sometimes called 234. The Falstaff Crips are known for guys like the rappers 9 and LO, who have both received some notable fame in the Toronto drill scene. While Top 5 and the GGGs have also clashed with several other rival sets like Bloods from the Connections or South Jane, represented by artists like NHSJJ and Doovie, who have both been some of the most popular drill artists in the Toronto scene. On the other hand, there's also been gang sets who GGG have been close with, most notably being the previously mentioned Was Gang, with Top 5 himself being very close to their rappers YG, Pressa, and Pressa's big brother Boondog, all of whom were recently shining prominently in Brandon Buckingham's vlog about the gang war in Toronto. Definitely go and check that out.
Toronto, this is Jane and Finch, Was Gang.
Alexandra Park, PO, MG4O.
Content creators get shot in their head out here.
Come around here, you might not leave.
Jane and Finch.
What began as a simmering tension in the late 2000s between these different Toronto factions would escalate by 2018 into Toronto's bloodiest year on record, and at the center of many of these conflicts will be none other than the GGGs. For example, in June 2016, two gunmen would open fire on 20-year-old Nathan Lee in Jamestown near Finch Avenue and Martin Grove Road in broad daylight. Security cameras would capture the chilling attack, which left Lee hospitalized, but fortunately alive.
A sunny morning and 20-year-old Nathan Lee is heading out for a bike ride, but steps from his home, Lee is gunned down at point-blank range. The video released by police today shows the two suspects approach. Both are armed with handguns. It's hard to believe anyone could survive such close-range shots, but Lee's mother says her son is expected to recover.
Police quickly linked the shooting to an ongoing feud between the Young Buck Killers, a Driftwood Crip subset, and the Rexdale Jamestown Crips. This was a rivalry already stained by tragedy, as just weeks earlier, a pregnant woman was killed in a drive-by, her baby delivered by an emergency C-section, only to die a month later, something that the YouTuber Six Tales covered in great detail on his channel. Lee's shooting occurred allegedly just days after the rapper Presser was assaulted in jail, and the investigators believed that this was payback. But the plot thickened when Lee's mother identified one shooter as Shamori YG White, a Young Buck Killers member and Top 5's close friend. YG would actually flee to the US, setting the example for others to do the same in the future, while his alleged accomplice, later revealed as Jason from GGG, stayed in the shadows. But then, in March 2017, Jason was arrested and charged with attempted murder and discharging a firearm. YG, who had been on the run in the US, spending a lot of time in Los Angeles, would ultimately be caught in Columbus, Ohio, and brought back to Canada, formally charged with attempted murder. However, due to a combination of good lawyers and the witnesses refusing to testify, both men would face no charges. And YG would later taunt the failed prosecution with his track Blue Tea, which flaunted the attire matching the shooter's description in the surveillance video, with him rapping that he's on his block, shooting people in his blue tee. But in April 2024, Jason's luck ran out, as he was gunned down in Toronto's Fashion District in a shooting that would leave two others injured. Though police hesitated to call it targeted, graffiti at the scene spelling out GGGK or Go Get 'em Gang Killers sparked speculation of a hit. But the GGG's reign of terror wasn't just limited to the greater Toronto area, and in another wild case, in August 2018, 27-year-old Abdi Sluggy Piercy, a mid-level drug dealer all the way in Edmonton, Alberta, was gunned down after he pulled into a parking lot, with the sounds of this shooting being chillingly captured on a nearby dashcam. Police called the shooting targeted, revealing that the victim was well known to law enforcement.
When police arrived Sunday night, the focus was on a BMW where the man was gunned down. The building was roped off.
And then we heard more gunshots,
with area residents wondering what happened.
Sluggy had allegedly been a drug dealer who clashed with a criminal organization expanding throughout several provinces, a nod to GGG's rumored reach across Canada. Though GGG as a gang wasn't officially tied to this murder, rumors swirled and the crew leaned into them, dissing Sluggy every chance they got, like in the 2021 song Movie, where Top 5 raps that when he's in Edmonton, he's smoking on Sluggy. A month after the murder of Sluggy in September 2018, 4 suspects would be charged, including Century from the GGGs. Police were able to build their case with extensive video surveillance that showed that the two shooters arrived in the parking lot and waited for Sluggy to arrive, and as soon as he did, the shooters got out of their car, got close, and opened fire, with one of the shooters not just emptying his clip, but returning to the getaway vehicle and then returning to Sluggy's lifeless body and continuing firing, before finally hopping in the car and getting away. Police confirmed Century as one of the two shooters, but despite what the judge called insurmountable evidence, Century too would miraculously beat his case. The GGGs were a terror in the streets and Teflon in the courtrooms, and this untouchable gang would still stay active during the 2020s, escalating their already infamous reign of terror. In March 2022, chaos would erupt at a north-central Edmonton lounge when gunmen unleashed gunfire into a crowd, described as one of the city's worst mass shootings. The attack left 28-year-old Imbert Georgia, a young father and husband, deceased and 6 others injured. Authorities would quickly recover a vehicle linked to the shooting, and Edmonton police moved quickly, arresting 2 suspects, GGG members 100 and Bosch, after a police helicopter tracked their fleeing car, capturing their attempt to discard firearms out the window, which were later retrieved by police dogs. Investigators confirmed that 60 to 70 shots were fired into the crowd, calling it miraculous that more people weren't killed. A third suspect, another GGG affiliate, Saeed Styles Osman, would evade capture, later landing on Canada's 25 most wanted list with a $50,000 bounty out for him. As the investigation deepened, police identified 2 additional suspects, one of those being none other than Century from GGG, who would get arrested on December 3, 2023 in a separate drug drug trafficking and firearms investigation with more than $185,000 worth of drugs and firearms seized. This included $50,000 worth of cocaine and 2.5 kilograms of fentanyl worth $90,000. Extradited to Edmonton, he faced the same charges as 100 first-degree murder and 7 counts of aggravated assault. Then, in May 2024, Bosch would strike a plea deal, confessing that he drove the shooters, that all 4 men had firearms, and that they were after someone they knew, and he would get 8 years for manslaughter, a fraction of the potential life sentences that his gang members still face. These are just a few of the cases tied to the Go Get 'em gang's murderous reign, but for Top 5 himself, the gang war in Toronto would from early on become much more personal, when he would end up losing his own brother to the streets. On the 30th of July 2017, Top 5's brother, 21-year-old Saeed "Foolish" Ali, would leave his apartment in the jungle to go and grab some snacks. Around midnight, he would split from his friends, and only moments later, as he was walking in front of a local drug mart, a car would pull up next to him and someone inside would open fire, shooting Foolish in his thigh and severing an artery. Sometime later, police would find him bleeding out on the asphalt, and sadly, he would later pass away at the hospital. It's not clear whether or not Foolish was a full-fledged gang member, but his family association to Top 5's GGG crew had allegedly made him a target in the streets, and following his death, GGG was ready to go after anyone who dissed Foolish, and they would waste no time in retaliating. Less than 48 hours after Foolish's murder, on August the 1st, a 23-year-old Adrian "Scars" Milligan, an alleged member of a rival crew called Shots Up Mafia, aka SUM, would become Toronto's 30th homicide of 2017. Witnesses near Bathurst and St. Clair saw Scars arguing with 2 men before gunfire suddenly erupted, hitting Scars in the chest in a gas station parking lot. Witnesses would then see 2 suspects running northbound on Raglan Avenue while holding a handgun, one of these suspects being around 5 foot 6 inches in height, this interestingly matching Top 5's relatively short frame. Reddit sleuths would later point out that Top 5 had allegedly posted RIP Foolish on the very same day that Scars died, while also mentioning a statement that Top 5 allegedly made saying that he stepped for his brother. GGG members like Flipper have also claimed Scars as a GGG body, with lyrics hinting at Scars being killed as direct get back for Foolish. When SUM members would pay tribute to Scars online, a GGG member would do some trolling by commenting with the prayer hand emojis, which would be met by a harsh response back as the SUM member would tell him to go and dig his friend up in response. Online sleuths have generally theorized that Scars was killed over mistaken blame for Foolish's murder, with the GGGs first thinking that SUM had something to do with it, but unfortunately they would eventually realize their mistake and decide to slide again. As is often the case in modern day gang wars, it would allegedly be a social media post that would light the fuse, as a masked figure could be seen in a video stomping a shopper's drug mart bag, this being seen as a direct diss towards Foolish, who had been killed outside that same store. Allegedly, despite the mask, this person's identity wouldn't stay hidden, as rumor leaked to GGGs that the culprit was a 16-year-old named Hanad Clutch Ali, an alleged member of the Falstaff Crips, who lived in one of the 3 high-rise buildings that the gang claimed. Then, in August 2019, Clutch's life would end where he lived, as he would be gunned down in the stairwell of 30 Falstaff Avenue, after which 3 suspects fled in a dark sedan, leaving him bleeding out.
Hanid Abdullahi's mother, relatives, and friends are overcome with grief as the body of the 16-year-old is carried out of the Toronto Community Housing Building where Hanid lived his entire life and where the teen was fatally shot multiple times early this morning.
I don't get it! He was a kid! 16 years old!
According to authorities, only hours later, Top 5 posted on Instagram saying, "Karma is the most patient gangster ever." By November, Top 5 would double down on his drill rap persona, dropping the song Drill Some More with GGG member Flipper. This track being a clear message referencing these back-to-back murders, with 5 rapping that even if they catch one body, they're still planning on catching more, a chilling reminder of what was to come. However, just months after the release of Drill Some More, in March 2020, Flipper would be arrested for the 2019 broad daylight murder of 22-year-old Jerome Bell, also known in the streets of Toronto as the rapper Murder. Then, in a shock turn of events, while in custody, Flipper was tied to a second murder, the November 2019 execution of Tony Scratch, a reputed high-level mobster. The trial revealed that Flipper and another rapper called YS hunted down and killed Tony Scratch so that they could collect a $60,000 bounty, which they would allegedly later wave around in cell phone videos. The 2 would be caught thanks to critical evidence presented by 2 undercover police officers who just so happened to be surveilling Tony Scratch in an unrelated investigation, and Flipper would end up getting 2 life sentences for both murders. But even though GGG would end up losing their most ruthless soldier, this didn't slow down Top 5, as he would keep escalating petty feuds, putting bounties on rivals' jewelry, and pulling stunts like flushing a stolen chain down the toilet that had belonged to a man called DJ Snoopy.
Give us 7 days to take your chain. I promise you, chain.
You want a cookie?
7 days.
Do it.
Do you want to do this? 7 days. Count everybody watching this. 7 days, Snoopy's not gonna have his chain.
Someone went and got my pendant, man. They got my brother's pen there.
Okay.
Top 5's antics would put him on the radar of one of the biggest media personalities in the American hip-hop scene, DJ Academics, who would begin to invite Top 5 onto his streams, introducing him to the streaming world for the first time and publicly labeling him the Demon of Toronto.
But if y'all don't know, people, we here with Top 5, one of Toronto's finest. You got any? Are you the king of Toronto? You know?
I run Toronto. They know this.
Yo, Chroma says she the first lady, so we gotta find out who's the king.
First lady to get battered. What you talking about? You mean first lady?
First lady.
What's wrong with you? Yo, man. Yo, you gotta live in Toronto to know what's going on. What the
This would lead to many wild moments, like chaos erupting when Top 5 would end up on the stream with one of his biggest rivals, 17 Doovie, which would lead to both of them going back and forth, dissing each other's dead friends.
Fam, tell the world how JJ got packed.
Tell them how your brother got packed.
That's 2017. You know what's up with that. You know what's up with that.
Yo.
You know what's up with that. You know what's up with that.
Yo.
What's up with JJ?
Yo, do you want me to talk on? Yo, you're a snitch. I'm not even gonna talk on.
But unfortunately, despite the increasing fame online, Top 5 wouldn't be able to stay off the streets. And finally in 2021, an incident would take place that would get him in so much trouble that he would end up doing the race too and leaving the whole of Canada behind. On January the 31st, 2021, 20-year-old accounting student Hashim Omar Hashi returned home to his Falstaff Avenue apartment after dinner. As he was about to enter the underground parking garage at 40 Falstaff Avenue, another vehicle would appear from behind, and a gunman would quickly sprint to Hashi's passenger side window and fire 14 shots, before sprinting back to the passenger seat of the getaway car as it sped off. After the murder, police would stress that Hashi had no gang ties, and his only crime was living in the building claimed by the 234 gang. But the murder allegedly followed only hours after Falstaff rapper 9 had posted a Shoppers Drug Mart bag on Instagram, an obvious taunt towards the death of Top 5's brother Foolish. In February 2021, police would strike and arrest 2 people, including none other than Top 5, charging him with accessory to murder.
2 Toronto men are facing charges after a man was shot and killed in a parking garage late last month. 24-year-old Emmanuel Misa and 22-year-old Hassan Ali were arrested over the weekend and charged with accessory to murder after the fact. Ali is also facing several drug offenses.
He was first released on $70,000 bail, but things would soon turn much worse for Top 5, as his charges were suddenly upgraded to first-degree murder, causing him to cut off his ankle monitor and go on the run. Following his successful escape, Top 5 would continuously post on social media, mocking the Canadian authorities, increasing his significant notoriety at home and abroad.
The artist has been connecting with fans on social media. There's just one problem. He's also on the run, wanted for murder.
CTV's John Woodward reports the justice system had him in custody, but despite warning signs, let him go anyway.
Toronto!
That appears to be Top 5 speaking out on a live streaming Instagram video over the weekend. That's despite under his real name Hassan Ali, he's wanted for the first-degree murder of 23-year-old Hashim Omar Hashi, a student gunned down as he pulled into this parking garage. Ali's viewers tell him he's a fugitive, one asking, isn't Top 5 on the run for a body? The rapper seems to talk back.
The only run I know is the trend run.
Another asks, aren't you on the run?
Like, I ain't do shit. Everybody know I ain't do shit, but save that for God.
He would tell his followers that he was willing to come out of hiding for a sit-down with the mayor of Toronto before announcing that he himself actually runs Toronto.
Yo, you guys want to link up? Call John Tory and tell him I want to have a f***ing sit-down for f***ing 30 minutes. I want to spit my facts, and he spits his facts. I run Toronto. You f***ing goof.
Top 5's escape from justice was now making front-page news in Canada, as he flaunted his fugitive status, telling fans that only God knows where he is.
You guys want to know where I am? Only God knows. Only John knows.
He would even drop new music, like the song Movie, which would be released together with an actual music video, as well as meeting up with famous rappers like the LA legend Draco the Ruler.
Draco, what are we smoking on?
But then, after being on the run for almost half a year, Top 5's race would suddenly come to an end, shortly after he'd linked up with Bobby Shmurda in Los Angeles.
Alright, tell him what time it is. GG, Toronto, stand the f*** up. Shmurda on the set, know what it is. What time is it? Hold on, what time is it? It's like 6:20. Still trapping out there. Yeah, in Cali, bad boy.
Witnesses would film an army of police swarming the scene, and legal documents would later reveal that the Los Angeles Police Department had tracked Top 5's fugitive spree through social media posts, placing him in the LA area where he was allegedly linked to another individual wanted in a separate murder investigation, this digital breadcrumb trail leading to his eventual capture. Unsealed extradition documents would also reveal Top 5's alleged motives for the murder of Hashim Omar Hashi. According to the documents, authorities identified Top 5 as a high-ranking member of a violent Canadian street gang, the GGG, alleging that he had murdered Hashi because he had happened to live in the rival gang's turf and that he'd been mistaken for Top 5's brother's killer, and that Top 5 was not shy about speaking on his aims of getting revenge for his brother's death on social media, with one such post made only 3 days before the murder of Hashi. Meanwhile, his fate hinged on preliminary hearings to determine admissible evidence and prove the Crown's theory that on the night of the murder, a three-man crew had spun the 40 Falstaff Avenue, with the shooter exiting from the front passenger seat while a driver navigated, and a third man, allegedly Top 5, sat in the back seat orchestrating the hit. The Crown acknowledged that there was no evidence that Top 5 and the victim knew each other, but they still argued that this was a gangland execution and that Hashi died solely for living on rival turf. To prove this, the Crown presented 3 categories of evidence: rap videos and social media posts from Top 5 to prove that he was a member of GGG, expert testimony from Toronto Police Sergeant Jason Hammond on gang dynamics to understand gang evidence and give context to events surrounding the murder, and an intercepted jailhouse phone call where Top 5 discussed song lyrics that the Crown considered to be a coded confession. This was a strategy reminiscent of Young Thug's YSL RICO trial that also relied heavily on lyrics, social media posts, and music videos as some of the key evidence, with the Crown even mentioning DJ Academics' 3.5-hour-long interview with Top 5 as evidence. This interview included Top 5 speaking about the infamous GGG members like Flipper and Century, as well as mentioning being part of their gang and bragging about their firearms.
To me, brother.
Flipper.
But that was my big dog. They just arrested him for 2 bodies.
What?
But they freed up his little bro. His little bro's is part of GGG. He just beat a body.
Wait, what's GGG?
Go get him, gang.
Go get him, gang. All right. So y'all are the top shotters when it comes to Toronto.
We're equipped. We're like the army. We're like the military.
So the GGs was on the scene.
But the Crown also conceded that Top 5 likely did a lot of lying, like he also claimed that Megan Thee Stallion wanted to sleep with him, that he shoots people for Drake, that he was going to travel to Dubai the following week to enjoy some top-level ladies of the night, and that he drives a Porsche.
Man wants to me. I'm Drake's shooter. I understand people want to kill me, but I'm going to Dubai next week. I'm about to some out there. You know what I mean?
Jeez. Why they try to play you?
I drive a Porsche 2021.
The cracks in the case would emerge early. The judge would bar all lyrics and social media posts highlighting Top 5's gang ties, ruling them as irrelevant since the victim wasn't in a gang himself. Allowing it, the court argued, would bias jurors against Top 5's character rather than the facts. And without the gang context, Sergeant Hammond's expert testimony was also scrapped, with only the intercepted jailhouse phone call surviving the purge. With the gang evidence scrapped, all that was left was this call and Top 5's movements leading up to the murder. According to the Crown, on the day of the murder at 12:47 p.m, security cameras captured Top 5 stepping into an elevator on the 14th floor at an apartment building on Toronto's Northtown Way apartments. He was wearing a grey tracksuit, hood up, with a distinct diagonal black stripe running from waist to knee on his right thigh, and logos on the chest and hip, as well as black shoes with white trim. He exited the lobby, and by 1:06 p.m, he entered into a grey Mercedes, with the Crown identifying a man named Emmanuel Misa as a potential driver. The Mercedes returned to the building almost 2 hours later at 2:41 p.m, as Top 5 stepped out, re-entered the building, then left again just 8 minutes later. By 3:05 p.m, his cell phone would ping towers near 123 Crockford Boulevard in Scarborough, with evidence showing that there was a recording studio in the area. Between 3:05 p.m. and 5:31 p.m, cell tower records showed that Top 5's phone stayed in the vicinity of the studio. 6:02 p.m, back at Top 5's apartment in Northtown Way, a masked figure would enter the building, wearing a black hoodie, puffy jacket, black pants, white socks, and shoes with a faint white mark, with the Crown alleging that this was the shooter. He would ride the elevator to the 14th floor at 6:03 p.m, and 3 minutes later, he would return to the elevator clutching a small green plastic bag. At 6:11 p.m, Misa's phone would ping near the building, and 1 minute later, the grey Mercedes, the same car Top 5 used earlier, would pull up and the man in black climbed in. By 6:24 p.m, Misa's phone returned back to Scarborough, pinging on towers near the studio. Then both Top 5 and Misa's phones would go silent for hours, and there would be no activity from Top 5's phone till 9:07 p.m. Meanwhile, at the Falstaff Avenue housing complex, surveillance cameras would catch a stolen Honda Civic circling the 20, 30, and 40 blocks of Falstaff. It would enter the parking lots, slowing near a van with people twice, before also creeping past a white sedan, with the Crown arguing that they were hunting a target. Around 8:44 p.m, Hashi's car would turn into the entrance of 40 Falstaff's garage, and 12 seconds later, the Civic would screech to a stop, as a man in all black, white socks glaring, would bolt from the passenger seat, sprinting to the victim's car and unloading 14 rounds into the passenger side before fleeing. Looking closely at the security footage, as the shooter runs off and back to the car, the Civic's rear door cracks open, with someone inside seemingly hesitating but staying put, the Crown arguing that this figure was in fact Top 5. The Civic would later be found torched in Earl Bales Park with no DNA and no prints found. At 9:20 p.m, the grey Mercedes would resurface at Top 5's apartment at Northtown Way, with Top 5 stepping out, still in his grey tracksuit, alongside another person in dark clothing, someone who the Crown agreed is not the same person that shot the victim. Once again, they would ride the elevator to the 14th floor, before 8 minutes later returning to the lobby, with Top 5 now wearing different clothes as they got into the Mercedes and drove off. However, despite this evidence, the authorities were unable to confirm the identity of the shooter, the driver, or even the person sitting in the back. And ultimately, with no lyrics and no social media to use, and no forensic links or verified identities, the case would end up consisting of just theories, gaps, and a burning question. Was this a meticulously, perfectly planned and executed hit, or just a coincidence painted as guilt? That's what's going down with YG and Top 5 and all of that. So look, I'll tell you this. I know you're thinking, Trap Law Ross, why are you telling me all of this? Why are you wasting my time with this information about this beef that's been going on in Toronto that has nothing to do with this stabbing? Well, yeah, so once Wireless kicked off and you saw Top 5 in Manor House, suddenly, allegedly, the Wassers themselves had turned up to join Drake and perhaps Top 5 at Wireless Festival 2025. So you had YG, Big Tree 5 on the right-hand side here, and I don't know whether this is Bundog or Presser, maybe it's somebody else. There's talk of somebody else from that crew called, I believe, the FB being out there, that's what they're saying. So they turned up, all right? So now the plot thickens and the plot gets a little bit more complicated and you know, a little bit more juicy, right? So now this beef has gotten deadly in Toronto, things have gotten out of control, friends have become enemies, and now the Wassers have shown up to Wireless. And they're inside the artist section too. They're not, you know, they're not just going as fans. They're inside the artist section too. So it's looking pretty serious, right? So that's what's going on. I guess the guy on the left is FB, according to the comments. So look, that's what they're saying. They're saying, look, it's UK. These dudes aren't having sword fights. They're saying, look, how'd they even get into the UK with their criminal records? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I don't know how or why guys are able to get across borders with the seriousness of their records. I mean, these guys are pretty serious when it comes to the GGGs. I mean, Top 5, yeah, he beat his charges, but I'm not knowing how he's getting into the country. Like, remember the UK banned Tyler, the Creator, from coming into the country for allegedly being homophobic, even though he himself has expressed himself as something of a flower boy or whatever you might want to say. And we got Top 5 in the GGGs and all the demons and all the BFR coming into the country. It's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, what can you do? Okay, what can you do? So, yeah, this basically was becoming a transatlantic beef. You got the BFR guys in the UK. It is looking crazy, all right? It is looking absolutely out of control. But it's not just this Toronto beef either, right? Because when we're talking about Top 5 getting stabbed and who might have done it, there's several candidates. Because back when Top 5 was cool with Presser and them, Presser actually ended up getting into a beef with a London rapper called Lowski. When Lowski basically dropped lyrics on his Instagram dissing their dead friend Houdini, he quoted a lyric that said, "Send them to who?" Perhaps not realizing that he was dissing their dead homie. And they ended up having a back and forth. This is when Top 5 was cool with them. So they ended, right, this is going to sound so crazy, right? But Presser and them ended up flying one of Lowski's biggest ops out from the UK, M24, and doing a song with them. And Top 5 was there, you know, behind the scenes, ended up linking with to M24. He jumps on a clip with him and basically says that he's smoking on Lats, who is one of Lowski's best, closest friends, who ended up getting stabbed to death, allegedly, by a group of people with perhaps, maybe, some sort of ties to this rapper M24 who you're about to see him with here. So
I'm a UK homie.
Come on, you know the vibe. My boy, Top 5.
Can somebody find us that lax?
Yeah, find us that,
Big Pack. I'm a UK homie.
I can't lie, I feel like M24 gets mad uncomfortable when Top 5 says that he's smoking on Lats. He's almost like, he realizes, he's like, bruh, it's hot, you're making it hot for me right now. Because M24, right, M24 is a really good rapper in the UK. Love Lowski, love M24. I'm not part of the beef, I'm a civilian. Let's keep it at that. But like, M24 makes really good music. He doesn't diss the dead too much. He's not Fulio out here, right? Yeah, he disses his ops, he's dissed the dead, he's made reference to some of these incidents, but he's not Fulio out here. He looks a little bit uncomfortable, and Top 5, like, this is a pretty serious situation Top 5's referencing. I'm not sure if Top 5 even understands the deep details of what happened to Lats. But yeah, the fact that he's doing, I'm just going to run the clip one more time and you're going to be able to see, but I just don't think this is a good look.
Oh, man.
Come on, you know the vibe. My boy, Top 5.
Can somebody find us that lax?
Yeah, find us that,
Big pack.
Big pack, apparently. So look, he's made enemies in the UK already. He's got people in the UK that hate him. He's dissed dead people in the UK. He's got some serious situations. And yeah, there was talk of him maybe patching it up and squashing the beef with Lowski and all that stuff. But that's, who knows, right? Who knows? So Drake's in the UK. He's doing his 3 nights. It's absolutely popping, okay? And basically what ends up happening is Top 5 is doing backstage. He's doing press. He's doing promotion. He's streaming. He's in the UK. He's popping up with all the famous people in the UK and he's going viral. He even pops outside, okay? And this was a viral clip that kind of, a lot of people said maybe led to some instant karma, but he popped up outside with Kyle from the Nelk Boys. And he basically said, there's no killers in the UK. I'm comfy in the UK.
17. Where are we going tonight? Let them know.
That's a great question.
There's no killers in the UK. There's like serious guys. They're not going to come kill us.
No.
They're not going to come kill us for safe. You people show your address here. In America?
Fuck.
Now listen.
All right, I'm going to go shower. I'll see you in a bit.
W's.
My dog.
Throw some W's for the Milk Boys.
Let's go.
My dogs. Yo,
W's for Top 5.
So a lot of people are saying that is the clip, that is the moment where Top 5 disrespected the UK. But let's keep it real. I think if you think that's the reason why Top 5 allegedly got stabbed, you're dumb. Okay, there's no one in the UK. It's like, oh, he said there's no killers in the UK. I'm a killer. I'm a random. I need to go out and prove myself. No, he's dissed several people specifically, and as we can see, his new ops, his friends who have turned into ops, have seemingly flown internationally to come and buck him at the wireless show. It is a little bit crazy, but it gets worse from here. It wasn't just those comments. There were more clips that were circulating of Top 5 allegedly, not even allegedly, I can see it. He's outside, he's with the demons, he's got his jewels on, and this is the clip allegedly just shortly before the alleged incident happened.
Outside. Yo, Tones.
Yeah.
Outside.
So he's outside, he's doing his thing, and it's unfortunate that things ended up escalating from here. But he was outside. But I'm about to drop a bombshell on you people. I'm about to drop something that you guys might not believe, because something a little bit strange is going on behind the scenes with this alleged stabbing, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. It may have happened, or it may be complete cap. So I need to direct your attention to this video that's been circulating. Now, I don't want to play you this whole video, partly because it's probably against YouTube's guidelines for violence, but also partly because I know some people are getting copyright claims for using this video. But anyway, there's this video going around, right, that says Top 5's boy got stabbed in the neck in London. And what we see here is an actual riot. Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's a riot. It's a whole mob of people that are attacking this car. They're stamping on the windshield. They're opening the door. They're trying to get the person inside. It's looking crazy. Okay, I'm not going to play you the whole clip, but you can check that out. And what really doesn't make sense is that it's kind of like, look, I've watched and listened to the clip in great detail. Nobody in the clip says Top 5. There's no one in the clip going, yo, it's Top 5, let's get him. And you can hear what people are saying. People are saying, yo, who's that? Oh, what's that? Get him, go, go. You can hear what's going on. Ain't no one talking about Top 5. We got Top 5, whatever. No one's doing that. No one's, you know what I mean? It's a whole gang of people. And I've been told, allegedly, reportedly, this is a completely unrelated situation. I've been told that this has absolutely nothing to do with Top 5. It does have something to do with Manor House. So that's that train station that you walked down at the very start when I was talking about Top 5. He's in Manor House. He's in a serious area. That's where this went down. And this video, I'm going to debunk this whole thing through right now. This video was posted 14 hours ago. This video was posted, this video was posted before everyone was saying this video was Top 5. People saying Manor House last night, and it's the same video of the same riot. People are trashing this car, and the car has the license plate X70 GBP. So we know that this is a relevant car, and this is a car that ends up in another picture that's coming later, which again I probably shouldn't show you on YouTube, but essentially there's another picture going around that basically shows like a man laid out on the floor next to that same white Mercedes car with the license plate X70GBP next to it, and a lot of people are saying, oh, this is top 5. They were getting attacked at the scene, they escaped the scene, and then they pulled over and they were getting medical treatment, and there's a picture of somebody laid out on the floor next to the car. Now, I won't show you that picture purely because it's not safe for YouTube, also because I'm honestly not confident that it's top 5. I know for a fact that that situation that we just saw where the crowd was attacking the car happened in Manor House. It happened absolutely nothing to do with top 5, which is why it's a bit unusual. This is where the whole story begins to unravel a little bit. That's why it's a little bit unusual that a reputable news source, well, arguably reputable, such as The Sun US, would actually post the same video and a long-form article that says, horror attack, Drake's rapper pal stabbed in London after superstar performs as horror vid shows crowd attacking car and smashing windscreen. Now, what doesn't make sense here, okay, what doesn't make sense here is they've got a bunch of information that doesn't quite tie to this story. So, look, all right, so it's given a little bit of backstory, seeing that, okay, footage shows a bunch of thugs climbing on the car and smashing it up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so look. Earlier, Victim Top 5 posted images and clips of himself watching Drake's wireless set from a VIP section near the stage. The pair were pictured watching basketball together in January, with Top 5 describing the God's Plan hitmaker as his twin. The rapper was cleared last year of a murder charge in his native Toronto and is said to have angered rap rivals in the Capita after telling fans in a social media stream, there's no killers in London. So the Sun are going with the narrative that this was a random attack off the back of him basically saying that there's no killers in London. Now, this is the part where I'm starting to think that the entire thing is absolute cap, and the standards of journalism in 2025 have gone completely down the toilet. Because here it says, Metropolitan Police said officers were called at around 12:15 a.m. today to reports of a stabbing in Spring Park Drive near Finsbury Park. Not Manor House, where that video was recorded and posted from. Not Manor House. So apparently there's a statement from the Metropolitan Police. I've Googled this. I've Googled all these words. I've done different types of Googling, advanced searches. There is no statement from the Metropolitan Police that says this. So this is a weird one. This is cap. There's no news articles. There's no reports in the Metropolitan Police about any stabbing at Spring Park Drive near Finsbury Park. So something's not adding up. Then it says a spokesman added the victim, a man in his 20s, was approached by a group who damaged his car before stabbing him in the leg. He was taken to hospital and his injuries are believed to not be life-changing. Now, this is why I think this is complete baloney, because they're saying a spokesman, not a person from the Metropolitan Police. Usually you might have detective, sergeant, whatever. You might have a reputable person with an actual title. No, a spokesman. The Met Police just have spokesmen now that just speak on things that don't appear in any other articles or publications. Said the victim, a man in his 20s, was approached by a group who damaged his car. So this little quote here leads me to believe that this entire article is capped, because as we've learned, that Manor House stabbing had nothing to do with Top 5. It was a separate incident that had completely nothing to do with him and was just separate, okay? It got cracking, right? It gets cracking over there. But the article saying that they had a spokesman from the Met Police seems like cap. Now, here's where I call mega super cap, all right? It says here, cops have since urged anyone with information to call 101 or reach out on X and quote CAD 105 17 July. I've Googled that code, doesn't come up to any articles. I've looked it up on X. I've checked the Metropolitan Police X profile page. There is absolutely no statement about this. It's looking to me like absolute cap. Where is this where is this spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police? And I know you're all going to say I'm a Fed. Go ahead and screenshot me on this page while you're here if you want to call me a Fed. All right. There's no statement from the Metropolitan Police about this. All right. There's no information. There's no mention. We're going back in time now. Okay. We're going back in time. All right. Now they're talking about protests, all of this stuff that's going on. No mention of this. No situation. It would be here if it was a real thing. I think it is possible, perhaps plausible even, that this whole story is absolute cap and it's been placed either by Top 5's ops to try and make it look like they got him down when they didn't, to put him down, or by Top 5 himself as a marketing stunt to gain promotion. Now, I'm not putting it down. If it turns out Top 5's actually been stabbed, I'll completely believe it. I'm not saying I've seen any proof to confirm that it's cap, but what I am seeing is a video that is seemingly confirmed to have nothing to do with the situation being promoted in mainstream news. It doesn't quite make sense. So there was a lot going on, and it's still uncertain exactly what happened, whether it's even real, where Top 5 is, what the latest update is, whether it's promo, whether it's not. All I will say is that last night, when I was on Torontology, I first started seeing the news of this going on, and it was nothing but just a bunch of memes, basically. A bunch of weird memes that were just gassing up this alleged stabbing of Top 5 without any real evidence. There was a lot of like ChatGPT images floating around, all that kind of thing. And it's just not, I don't know, it's just I'm not seeing factual evidence for this being true, right? So let me show you this. I won't show you the whole thing for YouTube's sake, but you'll be able to see here. This is that car that was getting smashed up in that other scene, and here off screen, I've strategically scrolled away from it so you can't see it. There's a person laid out on the floor, and they're saying that's Top 5. The license plate here, it is the same license plate, X70 GBP, and it is essentially, you know, the same car from the alleged same situation. And everyone believes it. That's the crazy thing, is so many people believe it. Some people are saying it wasn't him. People saying the video of the white Benz getting mobbed wasn't Top 5, but that's the same car. I heard they took his chain too. I'm not going to say too much, but saying he tried to go viral. People are saying he dropped his location, talking. People think it really happened. I personally don't think. I definitely don't think that image was actually what happened. But you know, it's gone absolutely viral in the Torontology subreddit. People are kind of saying that, you know, Top 5 deserves this. They're saying, I hope Hashim's face is burning in his mind right now. This is the young man who lost his life, and Top 5 was on trial, ended up beating the charges for. And there's just a whole bunch of chatter about Top 5 ever since, you know, this rumor came about. There's been a whole lot of posting, and that made me think maybe it's cap, maybe it's promo. It was being almost pushed like a promotional campaign. It's kind of like one of the biggest news stories worldwide right now. And there's a lot of rappers and a lot of social media commentators that have decided to kind of give their 2 cents on the situation. So let's have a little recap of just what some people have kind of been saying about the situation. Just a little bit of reaction from maybe some famous people, some gangsters, some rappers, some ops, all of that stuff. We'll see what's going around. So British rapper Ratlin has called Top 5 a police boy after news breaks out about the Toronto rapper's stabbing. They're saying he was talking about call 911. And YG's jumped straight in saying informer that. Now, here's the thing, that this is, once again, it's like, this is getting pushed. Pages like Keep Six Solid are pushing this story. They're overly pushing this story. They're including the comment from YG dissing him in there, which it just makes me feel a little bit like there's somebody's pushing this narrative. I mean, I don't know. Are we really getting to the point where in 2025, you drill your ops and then you pay pages to promote the drill that you've just done? Is that the state of the culture that we've gotten to? I don't know for sure. I honestly could not say for sure that that's what's happening, but that's what people are saying. So we've got UK rappers calling them the police. This is in relation to, basically, there were people claiming to be at the scene, saying that Top 5 was running down the street shouting call 911. You know, even one of Top 5's biggest ops from California, Hitter J3, you know, legendary rapper from out Compton, came up with Kendrick. Definitely somebody who had gone back and forth with Top 5 on numerous fronts. They'd had a lot of beef. When I linked up with Hitter J3, he had a lot of smoke for Top 5 as well. But even Hitter J3 was sending him a prayer. He said, send a prayer up for Top. We can't lose our biggest troll. And it just goes to show you that, like, I don't think that Top 5 was really hoping that Kendrick was going to get hurt, or that he was going to hurt Kendrick. Same way, I don't really think Hitter J3 was really hoping or planning to hurt Top 5. I feel like it was all content at the end of the day. And it's really unfortunate when these sort of street gangster dudes just can't take a little back and forth as content and want to have to resort to threats of murder. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so there's another post saying, there's this post in Reddit, okay? This isn't anybody reacting to it, but people are saying the GGGs right now are basically what Booker 600 was after the murder of T-Roy. This is an infamous tweet in the Chicago drill scene, if you didn't know, saying, y'all don't know the half of what's finna transpire after T-Roy got killed. And obviously that's when the Get Back gang was formed, and damn near dozens of people have lost their lives over that situation. So, you know, these are the responses. These are the things. I mean, look, it's just, unfortunately, there's ops that are reacting to this. You got YG's calling Keep Six Solid a hoe for not trolling Top 5 after he got stabbed. Another one of his ops, Casper TNG, posted, "Change the title to Top 5 Caught Lacking in the UK and Wet Up in Friday the 13th style slashing. This title sounds too subtle still." It's very disrespectful stuff. I can't see this quote. I mean, where's Top 5 dissing him? Is this like is this a Top 5, another Top 5 account? Maybe it is. All of a sudden doesn't want to try and make a hard as caption, Keep Six a ho ho ho. I mean, people are saying Keep Six Solid trolls the civilians with captions after they get shot, and that's apparently why people don't really respect the way he posts. I don't know. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm just trying to catch up with the reaction, and it's crazy. Okay, and so look, another situation that popped off around this a little bit before. One of Top 5's close friends, one of the most feared guys from the GGGs, Flipper, who's had a couple of serious cases. He had 2 murder cases. If you listen to Top 5's song, 2 Cases, he's basically saying, that's my bro. He caught 2 cases, caught 2 murder cases at the same time, and unfortunately has gone away for a long time. But very recently, the news was Flipper was actually stabbed in jail, and people are kind of, you know, dissing Top 5 now as part of it, and basically saying, you know, it's just not a good look. Okay, it's just not a good look. So this was the news just 14 days ago that Flipper from the GGGs had got stabbed in prison, and you know, it's a sad situation. And that led another Toronto op, K-Money, to basically speak out and say that I heard Top 5 caught the Flipper special in London. What the hell, with a knife emoji. Look, and you know, I don't condone any kind of scoreboard keeping, but people in the comments are saying BFR is currently up 3-0 in the series. Will the GGGs pull back a miraculous comeback? I mean, look, I don't know the truth behind all of these posts, but if Flipper got stabbed and Top 5 got stabbed and DBK got killed, it is really unfortunate that that group of people is just taking so many unfortunate situations. You know, and I honestly, I don't condone what's happening. I don't feel like what's going to come next is going to be any good for anybody, but that's the situation. So right now, where we're at, we essentially don't know whether or not this stabbing story is true. If it is true, it probably happened somewhere else. And the only other thing that I've really seen that I feel like actually is, you know, some proof or some kind of like actual information that we can use to maybe just get a little bit closer to the truth, is just this one post. Just this one post that's going around, and I don't even know if I can show this to you right here, but the image got deleted, but I did actually save the image. But it said Top 5 got stabbed up in central London, not Central C, we're talking about central London, and they're saying the car in the video is in Manor Park, or yeah, you know, that ute laying on the floor is not Top 5. This post is saying that it's not him, and then there was an image from that post that got deleted, but I did actually save it, so I've got that for you here. And essentially it was posted, this was apparently a little video clip from the scene that's going around. Allegedly this is the real scene of the real Top 5 stabbing. Again, it's not confirmed, but people are saying Top 5 got stabbed in central London, not in Manor House and not in the Wireless Festival. Anything else is fake news.